Okay, lips. I'll show you both ways that I do lips. There are only two ways that I usually do it. They both pretty much involve very similar steps. So you have your template. I don't always, actually I hardly ever use a template. I kind of just look at how big it is. Then I'll fold my fabric in half. And I'll usually just kind of start cutting. You probably could cut this out like I did the cut and paste method with the eyes. Just cut that out, glue it to your felt, and then paint over it with either a varnish or with nail polish. Or you can just try your luck like I do and just kind of cut. So I'm going to start, this is folding kind of exactly as you would fold this way, which I suppose you could put this right on top of it and just cut out along those lines right there as well. You could pin this to the fabric, kind of make it a little bit easier. I'm just going to cut. I usually trim it up a little bit later. So kind of go up with my little heart shape, back down, and then I kind of curve up just slightly. Then I'll go down and just cut just like this. Okay, there's my lips. Okay, so here are my lips. You can pretty much just take this just like it is and glue the lips right on. This is what I do a lot of times when I do my painted eyes. I'll just simply glue it straight on like that. I've tried doing nail polish and varnish on it to make the lips shiny. I didn't really like the results. You can, since it's not very hard to cut this out and you're not going to really ruin anything, you could try it yourself by painting the nail polish or the varnish on it and see if you like the shiny look of it. It didn't really work very well for me. I've also tried painting the lips to make them really pretty and detailed and stuff, and I find that it's really just easier just to do it like this. So if you're not going to embroider them, you're pretty much done after that step. I am, since this is for a 5-year-old girl, I am going to embroider the the lips. So what I do when I embroider is I take it and I just cut it right in half. The reason I do this is because I've tried it both ways to where I embroider the whole lip just like this, but I really like the look of the lips whenever they have a part in the middle because it looks like two separate lips. And the way your lips kind of have lines and wrinkles on it and stuff, I really just like how it looks. It makes it look more like a mouth. So you see, what it is it's a piece of felt just like this underneath your stitches, and you just stitch around it. You do that for the top lip, and then you do it for the bottom lip, and it gives you a result like this. And here's another example. Lips. This is a little bit more defined lips here. Okay, so you have two options if you're going to do it this way. You can either pin it down with your pins like this, and I like to, if I'm going to do it that way, I like to pin one right in the middle, and then I like to kind of pin the lips slightly curved up so it looks like she's smiling. So I'll then pin it slightly up so it looks like she's kind of smiling. There you go. You can kind of see the effect it gives whenever you pull that lip up a little. The other way to do it, since you're not actually going to be stabbing your stitches through the lips like you do here, you can actually glue this down. I would not put the glue too far to the edges though, because you want to make sure there is a slight gap here between the lips for when you embroider. I would try to choose a felt really close to the color of your embroidery floss. You don't want to use white, because if you have any gaps in your thread, the white is going to be really, really prominent as it shines through. But if you use a color that's really similar to it, if there's a little bit peeking through, say I have a little bit of this dark peeking through, it'll just add more volume and more texture to your actual lips. So it's not really that big of a deal. So anyways, I'm just going to, since I already have this pinned in place, I'm actually going to do the bottom lips first. And that way they can, I can form it real easily to the lips. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these down and let them dry for a little bit. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to eye embroider. Okay, I believe this is dry enough now. If you look, you can see the definition in here where the part between the lips. As I was saying earlier, you can just glue the lips to the doll and then you're done. Earlier I was saying you could glue it as one piece. You can also do here where I cut it in half and you see how it makes the lips look a little bit more like lips. Anyway, so we're gonna embroider with my hot pink embroidery floss. And we're gonna just embroider around the lips. We'll do just like do the eyes. You go through the back of the head, inside the hair seam, and you bring it out through the front of the head. All right. I like to go from the outside to the inside because it's really hard. I don't know, it just seems a lot easier to go do this. You want to try to make sure to try to catch, like we did with the eyeshadow up here, you want to make sure to try to catch the knitted pieces pretty often. You don't have to do it every single time, but you definitely want to do that quite often. Once again, like I was saying up with the eyes, I don't usually start at the very corner because the corner is very thin and it's a little bit more difficult to work with. So I usually start with a couple of foundation stitches kind of off to the side a little bit, and then I'll work my way here, and then I'll go back over the top, and then I'll work my way from here back around and bring my stitch on here. So I'm going to work a little bit and then I'll show you kind of when I'm done. Okay, so I'm kind of working towards the very edge of the lips right now. This is kind of probably the most tricky part about the lips. Okay, so we're working around this very, very thin piece. You want to make sure, this is very important, that you hook, at least you can look under and at least hook a tiny thread of the knit fabric on both sides. So you want to go under and catch a piece here and catch a piece here. This is very important because if you don't, then a lot of times this little piece of fabric here will slip through and then you have absolutely nothing for your yarn to catch on. So you want to make sure that your yarn catches, or your embroidery floss, whatever you want to call this stuff. Okay, and you see right there how it almost kind of tried to go through. That's why I keep my needle here, is to kind of catch it. And then I'll pull my needle out whenever I'm satisfied with how tight it is. So make sure not to pull it too tight. This will probably be my last stitch right here. I'm hooking the yarn of the doll's face. I'm going to pull through very gently, because if you pull too fast, it won't catch, or it'll make the felt come through. Okay, so you see how I'm catching it with my needle? Pulling it very gently, and now I have a nice little peak. I'm going to stab my yarn here and come back up over here where I left off. Once again, catch it with my needle. Very slowly and gently bring it down to where I want it to be. Let go, pull my needles out. That's how you do, that's how you do the corner. Anyways, so then you kind of keep just stitching around, making sure to grab the yarn so that it's secure. And I did glue the lips down So, which is why I need to make sure to stab straight down here and come up straight here, because you don't want to catch any of the glue under there. But the thing about gluing it down, I have also done to where I just pin it down with the pins, but I find, I think I did this on my last doll, was the first time I discovered how gluing it will actually work. But if you're going to glue it, you definitely have to cut this in half. You can't just leave the lips full. So gluing it down definitely keeps this felt in place, so I don't even have to worry about it sliding around on me. It's already definitely in place, and you just embroider around those lips. Okay, so this is what the lips look like when they're finished. You just pass it back through the head, tie it off, just like we did with the eyes. Anyways, that's what it looks like when it's done.